First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. But first, before we do anything, I wanted to pull that up there. That is a live shot from our seaside camera. There are people out there enjoying the coast right now, all up and down the Oregon coast, as that's probably a pretty nice place to be as we're going through that heat wave. But it's always great to be out there. We're going to be talking about that today. And again, I am Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now, live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, as we do every weekday, starting around 1 p.m., going throughout the afternoon. We cover a wide range of topics, but if you're in Oregon, one of the great places that we have access to get to go to is the Oregon coast. And there's a new campaign, though, from the Oregon Coast Visitors Association, or at least a campaign we want to remind you about, they want to remind you about, called Coast Like a Local. So what does that mean? We're going to get into that right now. We're going to talk all about that with Lynee Jacks from the Oregon Coast Visitors Association. And great to have you here on the show. I appreciate it. I mean, I am looking at that camera shot and I am jealous right now. I do want to go out to the coast. But, you know, nonetheless, that is something that a lot of people have access to. And I think to start off, you know, would you mind just letting us know just what the Oregon Coast Visitors Association is and what you cover there with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me on. So the Oregon Coast Visitors Association is what's called a destination management organization. And what our role really is of course, to inspire people to come and visit the coast. And, you know, we put out a lot of marketing so that people know where to go and what to do, but we're also stewards of the coast because we know that with more tourism comes more impact on the coast. So a lot of our work is convening partners and making sure that we're listening to the needs of the local communities and making sure that tourism is sustainable for everybody here as well. So our role is pretty big and it touches north to south coast. And a big part of that is, you know, this work to get people excited about coming here, but also thinking about how to do it responsibly.
That's certainly, yeah, covers a lot of bases there. There's a lot of different kinds of organizations and people that you're interacting with, I would imagine, with that. But I mean, I think we've all probably been over at the coast, either as a tourist or somebody visiting there, or staying there, and maybe seen some people who aren't doing things the right way, or maybe seem like they might be overstepping some bounds. And I've certainly seen that myself, speaking personally. But for this Coast Like a Local campaign, can you tell us a little bit more about that and the origin of this idea?
Absolutely. Just like you said, the coast it's a different place. There's a lot of things that, you know, people might not think of when they come out here. Like there are so many different diverse habitats, and there's just a lot of things that people need to know because the coast, while it's completely open to the public, we have 365 miles of public beach, that traverses a lot of different kinds of jurisdictions like state beaches, federal land, and then different kinds of protected areas for different habitats. So these are things that locals know because we're around it and we sort of learn these things over time, but it's something that's really important for visitors to be proactively thinking about when they're planning their trips. If you have a specific beach that you're planning to go to, it's great to look up and see, are dogs allowed to be on leash there? Are you allowed to have a fire at a certain time of year at that beach? You know, there's a lot of safety things to consider. Even tide times and things like that throughout the winter come into play. And then, of course, all of the permits that you might need depending on if you're going to go crabbing or hunting. So there's just so many things that we want visitors to be able to consider. And so Coast Like a Local comes in as this marketing campaign, stewardship campaign, to really get people hearing a consistent message that we want you to experience the coast like a local, and that means knowing before you go. So it really just means think about what your plan is, go online and look up everything that you need to know before you go to that beach or go to harvest clams in this location. And really just trying to amplify that message across all of our partner organizations and getting everybody really excited about sharing how they coast like a local out here too, just to help push that message out to all of our visitors.
Yeah, making sure that you're being respectful of kind of all of those things that you just mentioned, the environment, you know, the local regulations, the topography, and being safe on top of that too. When you're talking about tides or anything else that could be going on there, there's every year, unfortunately, stories of people who get into trouble out there at the coast for various different reasons as well, just physically. So when you're talking about all of those different things for people to be thinking about, what's What's the number one thing that somebody can do if they're going to be heading out to the Oregon coast, say they've got a beach in mind, they've got an area in mind, to do ahead of time to make sure that they're prepared and know some of those things that they should be aware of when they're out there on the coast?
So the first thing that everybody can do is visit theoregoncoast.com/coast like a local. It's pretty easy to find on our website. And that is going to list out a few of these big categories of topics, the things that people might need to know, like where can dogs be on leashes? What kind of permits do you need? And there we've accumulated all of these resources from so many of our incredible partners that go deeper into the details of specific things like permitting or safety, even things like volunteer opportunities for people that want to give back with the time that they spend on the coast. You're going to find all of that information housed on that webpage. And that's where we'd love everybody to start going before they head to the coast.
And I know the other part of this campaign too is, getting the people who are coming out there to understand how to coast like a local, but it's also working with some of the locals themselves and the businesses to help express that stuff. And can you tell us just how that interaction works, with the local businesses and local agencies there on the Oregon coast?
Yes. So part of the background of the idea of Coast Like a Local is we want this unified message coming out from all of the big tourism partners and the businesses that the locals are going to be interacting with when they're out here. That could be a shop or a restaurant. So part of the summer campaign that we're doing is working with a bunch of our partners to record their own short little videos about how they coast like a local. That could mean, people that are really big crabbers might film a short little reel about what they do to be safe and prepared out on the water. And so right now we're collecting those and getting excited to start posting them and collaborating across social media, and just finding more creative ways to share this message with more visitors.
Nice, yeah, getting it out there to people. And what's the response been like from those agencies there on the coast and people in general?
It's been great. I think people are really resonating, one, just with kind of the ring of Coast Like a Local. People are kind of like taking pride and ownership a little bit. And they're excited that there is now going to be a way to kind of house all of this in a unified place and be able to point everybody to one good resource. That's really what the long-term change behaviors and seeing these better behaviors over time is going to come down to that consistency, and that amplified voice across multiple partners. So I'm really excited to see how it continues to ripple.
What are some of the biggest behaviors that people have when they head to the coast that, obviously not everybody, but that some people exhibit that are big issues there for everyone?
Yeah, I think that generally just there's a lack of knowledge about sometimes just like we talked about safety, right? And this comes more in the winter when tides are a little bit bigger and there are storm cycles. But it also comes into play in the summer when traffic congestion becomes more of a big issue. It's not like just driving to the next city. The coast is a very different kind of environment. It's rural. The weather is unpredictable. So I think I would really just like to see an overall increase in awareness that when you come over to the coast, you're entering a completely new environment where you need to be alert and proactive about what you're going to go do and making sure that you're doing it safely. And of course, all of the things like leave no trace, things get a little bit more heavily impacted in the summer. And we would just love to see more people proactively picking up and making sure that they're stewarding this place as well as we do as locals.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, pick up after yourself and probably a little bit of patience as well because, it's the smaller roads. Things are going to go a little slower than maybe if you're in a big city or something like that. And that's just part of the experience for the two. So anything else that you think is really important for just people in general to know about Coast Like a Local?
Yeah, I think we are so excited that people want to come to the coast. We are excited to share it, and to share it in a way that is responsible and sustainable for future generations to come and visit here. So really just want everyone when they're coming out to the coast to remember that this is an ecosystem of people who live and work here and who love this place. And there's a really, really good way to get involved and love it the way we do. So yeah, just really know before you go and consider some of the volunteer opportunities that we offer too, because there's so many ways to get involved with a lot of really awesome locals.
Actually, with that volunteer, could you maybe mention a couple of those volunteer opportunities?
Yeah, so there are tons of beach cleanup opportunities. There are organized ones where people can come out specifically around a certain planned event. There's a couple around 4th of July with Solve, Oregon. But people can also just go and pick up trash on their own. There are trail building opportunities with Trail Keepers of Oregon, where people can come out just for a day to work on the trails, or even for an overnight hiking trip where you're just hanging out with cool people and working on trails. Also some citizen science opportunities, lots of ways to get involved with researching and tracking of different kinds of wildlife or king tide photos. So really there is something for almost any level of interest or amount of time that you have to offer.
And all those honestly sound fun too on top of it. So it's a great opportunity there. All right, well, Lynee, thank you very much, for having time to talk to us about this. I appreciate it. And for everybody out there, get out there to the Oregon coast and coast like a local, as you said. So thanks for joining us here on Fox 12 Now.
Thanks.
And for everyone watching, we're going to take a quick break, but we have plenty more coming up throughout the afternoon. We are here every weekday starting at 1 p.m. We go throughout the afternoon covering a wide range of topics. So if you ever have an idea for one, feel free to send me an email, fox12now@kptv.com. Of course, kptv.com is also where you can watch all of our segments and share them after the fact as well. But we'll take a break. I'll talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.